Hello friends, it's Friday, it's time for a filler. This week I want to talk to you a little bit about handling fish properly. Let's go. I'll go through a few things now. I don't know what your experience is, so I'm going to go over just a few key things that I think about a lot, and then you might already know them, you might agree with them, you might not. It's just my opinion, and you might come across a couple of things that you hadn't thought of before. It's just what I think, and that's all. I think it starts before you even put a fly in the water. Now, I'm a big fan of barbless hooks. I've fished barbless hooks since I was like super little. And I know there's arguments for and against, but it's just my personal feeling. I try real hard not to bust fish off, but occasionally it happens. And I'm a big believer that if you've got a barbless hook and you bust a fish off, once that tension comes off, that fish has got a really strong chance of getting rid of that hook really quickly. I hate the thought of leaving flies in fish. I don't like it at all. I think if you fight a fish properly, then you won't lose any more fish than you would if you had a barb on. And you know what, so what? If you do lose a couple of fish here and there because you're using barbless hooks, I'm actually alright with that. Because at the other end of the scale, you leave a fly in a fish, that thing's got a real good chance of coming out. Most of the time, once a fish gets in the net and the tension comes off, the hook just falls out anyway. So I imagine it's going to be the same deal if you bust a fish off. Same thing's going to happen, and that makes me feel better. Secondly, like tippet, I always fish as heavy as I can get away with, and I'm a big fan of fighting a fish really hard, getting it into the net really quickly, not messing around with it. If you fight a fish to the point of like complete exhaustion, then it's got a very small chance of actually living, whether it swims off or not. So I fight a fish hard, I get it in the net as quickly as I possibly can, and then once I've got it in the net, I'm all about recovery, keeping that fish in the water, touching it as little as possible, making sure it's upright in the net, and just recovering. There's barbless hooks, strong tippet, fight a fish hard, and once it's in the net, just making sure it's recovering the whole time. You know, barbless are just so good for easy unhooking and just minimal damage on the fish. You could call me the barbless Nazi. Just ask Gareth. While I'm messing around trying to get my camera ready, or if you're fishing with a buddy while he's messing around getting the camera ready and that sort of thing, it's just super important to make sure that fish is, one, upright in the water, and then two, like fully submerged. So the whole time it's just recovering and chilling out and breathing. And then just making sure that before you touch them, your hands are wet. And then when it comes to handling a fish, I'm a thumb and forefinger around the tail kind of guy. I know some people like to hold them this way because it shows the tail off better. And yeah, it does, but I feel like I've got a lot more control over the fish the way I do it. You know, so if it does get a bit lively, you've got less chance of dropping it. I'm going to take my thumb and my forefinger, and I'm going to put that around his tail, and that's where I can kind of squeeze a bit and like get some control. And then my other hand, I'm just going to support the fish, just on my fingers. I'm not going to squeeze him, I'm not going to grab him, I'm just going to support his weight. Control with this hand, support with this hand, out the water, for not very long at all. Now I'm just going to give you a quick look at this fish. Oh, she's ready to go. Around the tail. That's my control. And then just a quick look. And then when she's ready to go, she's out of here. The other thing I make sure is when I'm holding a fish, I make sure I'm low to the water and I'm actually over the water. Make sure you don't like hold the fish over dry land or rocks, because if it does struggle and it gets away from you, you know, it's not going to bounce off rocks, damage itself. And I'm not a big fan of people standing up and holding a fish, because it's just too far away. If you do drop it, it's got a long way to fall. So always make sure I'm low to the water and don't tend to hold the fish too high. So if it does get away from you, it hasn't got far to go. And the fact that it's going to hit the water and swim away, I'm alright with that. If you're not going to get a picture, just don't take the fish out of the water. Always try and release your fish in nice quiet water. You know, if you've got a nice bit like this, then that's brilliant. Even if you're in fast water, keep the fish in the net and move it into a nice kind of quiet edge or something like that, just so it doesn't have to fight the current straight away, and you can just sit there, let it chill, and then just wait for him to go. He'll tell you when he's ready to go. Alright, chill bro. Quick look. It's actually another really cool fish. And then back in the water. And that's how they should swim off. They should swim off, you know, good and strong under their own power. you know, looking like they've got plenty left in the tank. Let's talk nets. This net that I use, this is from risingnets.com, risingnets dot something. This is a rising net. I'll leave a link as usual in the description below. Go check them out. They're really good nets. A lot of thought gone into them. They're really well made. I like the shape. You see the shape? This is super cool. Rather than just your usual round net, this is actually elongated like so. This is the lunker loop, so this is the bigger of the two models, which is perfect for New Zealand. Because of this longer kind of elongated shape, it means the fish can just sit nice and straight, nice and relaxed in the water. And I think there's 3 different kinds, but I like the deep net bags. It means the fish will sit nice and deep in there. If it struggles and flaps around, it's not going to bounce out the net, land on the ground or anything like that. Real good. They do an extension for the handle too, so if you're on a boat or sometimes when I'm guiding locally, I'll have a longer handled net. Really well thought out, really good stuff. I'm also a real big fan of this knotless rubber mesh. Now if you don't have this on your landing net already, please go out and get some. That old school green knotted horrible shit that the nets used to have, so bad for the fish. It just scrapes all that protective slime off them really quickly. The knots and the material, I don't even know what it is, but it splits the fins, gets caught up in the scissors, and it's just really bad for the fish. This stuff here, brilliant. Doesn't take that protective slime off, doesn't get caught up in the fish, doesn't split the fins, doesn't split the tail. It's really good stuff. So if you don't have this on your landing net, go out and get some. It's pretty cheap, totally worth it, and if it is a few extra bucks, so what? It's better for the fish, right? Hopefully I've covered most of the important stuff there. Barbless hooks, fishing as strong a tippet as you can get away with. Fight the fish hard, fight it well, get it in the net quick, and once it's in the net, making sure that fish is upright, it's fully submerged all the time, and it's relaxed and chilling out. Just treat it with a bit of respect and a bit of love. Wet hands if you're handling a fish, handle it as little as possible, making sure you release that fish in nice quiet water and then waiting till it's ready to swim off on its own before you let it go. Well, those are what I pretty much think are the most important main points when it comes to good fish handling techniques. Okay, that's it for this week, guys. I hope you found that interesting or helpful or just, you know, entertained you for a few minutes. Like, comment, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. I'll have another video for you on Tuesday. Have a great weekend. Go fishing.